I'll be engaging my guests on various topics about the cultural war in the immigrant home and how to intervene. My name is Dr. Cynthia Adom-Potufi. I will be your host for the show, and you are watching Battleground. In this episode, we look at a very important topic, and that is marriage expectations. And for today's episode, we have an all-women gang, like ladies, and it's going to be amazing. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. But I have with me today three brilliant, beautiful young ladies to have a discussion with. So why don't you introduce yourselves at this point?
My name is Gladys, and I'm from right here in the Garden State, New Jersey, and I'm an aspiring school and clinical psychologist.
Hi, my name is Aniwa. I'm from New York City, and I'm a pharmacist.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm from New Jersey, and I'm an aspiring nurse.
Thank you so much, Gladys, Aniwa, and Stephanie, for joining us for Battleground. So let's start off. I hope you're all excited and ready to dive in.
Definitely.
Awesome. The first thing I wanted us to look at is the fact that, or let's discuss the frustration around the fact that your parents kind of ban you from going out, chilling with friends, assuming that maybe you just go out there and, be doing crazy things like, boyfriend stuff and having sex and everything. That's some assumption. That's not to say some don't do it, but, parents are put all young people into that class that once you go out, you're doing these bad things. So let's look at the frustration around they banning you. You can do this, you can do that, you can do that. And then right after college, or maybe after master's, once you hit like 22, 23, the next question is, when are you getting married? So I just want us to touch that on that topic. Take your liberties to take it from any perspective. Why do parents do that? And how do you feel about it? Or whether you've experienced it, take it from any perspective that you would want to.
Who wants to go first? But I'll just say.
Absolutely.
So, I remember, let's say, 13, 12 years old, and it'll be a struggle just to even go out. Like, you're just trying to go to the mall, and it's like, who are you going with? Like, where are you going? This and that. But then as soon as you hit college, you're home too much. Oh, you're not going to go outside and enjoy yourself. Then it's like, pick a side, because you trained me to be a house mouse or a house rat, however they would say it. Now you want me to be some social butterfly. So it's just like, it's completely different. From teenage to adult time, the expectations definitely shift.
Transitioning from a house mouse to what? A mouse to what?
To a social butterfly.
Oh my goodness.
And it doesn't happen,
It
right?
doesn't.
You cannot be a rat and then become a butterfly. But I agree with you, because when you're growing up, it feels that most parents want you to be under their control. They think you're this egg that will be, cracked and made of no use. And so they control that. And in my perspective, I think they should allow us a little bit to explore, make some mistakes, and come back home. In my own personal experience, I was also told to study. Just go home, do your homework. If you don't have a homework, pick up a book. All of those things were great. I mean,
I know why you've become a doctor.
Right? It has helped me. But now I'm still not married.
That's right.
So now they also have that issue where, you don't want something to end up as something that you want so much, and now it's a prayer topic. Right? They start off saying, oh, I got this. I know who my children are, and I'm going to make sure that they stay home and they become this great person. But now that girl is working,
Right.
and now marriage is a prayer topic because
Exactly.
you didn't allow them to go out. But I think it also affects our social
Interactions.
and you don't even know how to talk to boys because honestly, they tell you if you hug a boy, you get pregnant. My mom and my aunties told me that, and I was not ready to have
Oh
a baby.
my goodness.
So I did not talk to kids.
No hugging.
No hugging. No hugging in junior high,
Oh my goodness.
high school. Yes, a little bit.
A
But I
little.
was smarter then. I understood that they were wrong. But it's just those kind of things that they put in our minds makes us want to stay home and not, go out there and explore.
If you hug a guy, you're going to get
You get
pregnant.
pregnant, yeah.
Which Bible said that? That's real. That's very interesting.
Right. I think
Stephanie?
another thing is that growing up the perspectives are different. So each parent, like growing up in a foreign home, they know what they see outside.
Exactly.
But when you come to America, it's like, especially when you see the college kids, the teenage kids, what they do on TV. It's like, I don't want my child doing that, so stay home. But it becomes wrong, like you were saying, once you're ready of age to be social and try and meet someone for marriage, it's like you're at a loss because my parents never taught me that. They said,
Exactly.
stay home and be safe, and that's the only thing that I know how to do. So it's like a disconnect where you tell me one thing when I'm this age, and then when I'm this age, it's like, oh no, now you need to go out, and it's like confusion.
And could I even add on to that too?
Go
I
ahead.
think that I think we all grew up as Christians. Growing up in a Christian home, the kind of restrictions that are put on us in terms of relationships, I think that's really affecting later on marriages and how successful they are. Unfortunately, you tend to see people that didn't grow up in the church getting married early.
That's true.
And they seem to be enjoying their marriages, whereas those that grew up in the church doesn't look like it. And there is that issue of, those that went out early, they were able to test the waters.
That's true.
They knew what kind of men they didn't want, and they were strict about those things because they knew, yes, I'm not saying go out there and fornicate and do all of those things, but if you interact early, then you're able to sort of start to weed out
the wrong,
weeds,
exactly.
and then know which ones are the tares versus the wheat. But most Christian kids, you just say, hey, he preaches, he sings in church, he plays the drums.
He's cool.
Those instrumentalists, man, y'all.
He's spiritual.
Yeah, so those are the ones, and then you just assume that they look spiritual, so they'll be great husbands, and those
That's not the case.
Oh my
Preach.
goodness!
That's not the case at all.
You're taking me to another topic.
Don't preach.
Oh wow,
my gosh.
wow! So that is so true. As anyone mentioned, I think it's important for parents to set boundaries, but when the boundaries are unreasonable, then what happens? We're caged, and there's no exposure or limited exposure. So once you get ready for marriage, and you see any guy who you think is spiritual, like you unbox the present that is given to you and realize that it's not all about spirituality. Anyways, that's another topic altogether. But I want to just piggyback off of what Stephanie mentioned, that parents probably act the way they do, being overly controlling because of what they see on TV. And I just want us to dig deeper into it. So we have parents that came from Africa, and they saw how kids are raised, like, strict, blah, 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 and all that. And they come to America, and it's like CNN is like shooting, this, drugs, and like on all of the sex, etc. So why do you think our parents haven't gotten to the point where they can trust us, regardless of what they see on TV? Because we are not TV. You know what I mean? Like, our life is not what it's supposed to be on TV. So why do you think our parents fail to trust us, thinking that we can do something better than what they see on TV?
I feel like because media, we always say media influences only youth. But to be very frank, I feel like the media has also influenced our parents in a way, because they see that, okay, kids are out there smoking, doing this, doing that. Like, they're listening to the serpent's tongue out there. So I'm going to keep my child as close to me as possible. and not let them go out there. You know, I recall when I was younger, I used to play outside. Nowadays, kids don't play outside.
No.
But I used to play outside with the neighbors and this and that. And in my community, we didn't even have Ghanaians. Like, I'm talking about Egyptians, and those kind of people, like Guyanese people. But my mom allowed us to go play outside with them. But when I moved to the town I'm in now, it's like, don't go outside. Why? I feel like the only common thing is that now we have cell phones. We have computers. We have this. The digital age has come, so they know that I'm going to keep my child as close to me as possible because I'm scared about what they're already doing on the internet.
That's true.
So I don't want them to learn too much about what's out there. Because if you're playing outside, your parent could watch you through the window. Now, you could be playing on the internet. They don't even know who you're talking to. So it's caused a shift in you want to keep your kids to you as much as possible, want to monitor their phone, want to be on their computer, want to, if you know technology, you'll search their history.
Right. Like, I do.
You'll be doing everything, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I would also add on that, you know, our parents, normally they feel that this is not our land. Right? They've come to America. Though you were born here, they keep reminding you, this is not where you're from. You're not like them.
Even though you were born here.
Even though you're born here. And so that notion of, you know, this is not your place to be messing around. You're like a visitor. Like, but we're not. Right. We're Americans. Whether you're born here or naturalized citizen, you are American. Exactly. This place belongs to you as well. But I think the other part of it is the law, where they know if you did something wrong and they hit you, they might go to jail.
That's true.
Right? And so they don't want to even put themselves in that position where they will have to smack you across the face, or they have to buy the next plane ticket to Ghana, right? And then beat you at the airport, which some people do. So you don't want to do that as well. And I think those two some of the reasons why I think they're a bit more controlling.
And it kind of highlights the parenting insecurities too, because if you're not doing well as a parent, the only thing you can possibly do is, okay, let me just lock the door and not actually explain the why to the factor. And I think most parents, they don't understand or don't focus on that verse that says, teach a child the way that they should go.
That's right.
They will not depart from it. So it's like, if you're teaching them the right thing, if you're telling them what to do, even if they run out and do God knows whatever, what you instilled in them and how you approach them and like, okay, this is what this is, but this is what we're teaching you. They're not gonna depart, as I said, they're not gonna depart from what you originally taught them. So yeah.
Parental insecurities. That is, I mean, it ties in with what Aniwa Abna mentioned. That parents, like, it's hard. Sometimes we are on a foreign land, we're a different land, and we tell our kids, you don't belong here, but they do. But I think a lot of parents take that posture because a lot of parents haven't gotten used to even the American culture. And if you don't know something enough, how do you even, you know, transmit it to your child? So I don't know it. Just I'm keeping you here, you know, close to what I know, what I think is best, what was used to raise me, and I've come out really good. So I think that's I like the perspective Stephanie brought up, because if you're insecure as a parent, then you tend to kind of set a boundary for your kids. And I think we are all saying that the strict boundary is not really helping. We need to break the shell, see what is in there, and to kind of help let our kids understand the why behind all the restrictions and the boundaries that we are even setting. Gladys, you wanted to say something?
I wanted to say something because though I could bash the boundaries to an extent, I feel like now that I'm an adult, I do appreciate the boundaries that were set, because they've made me into the disciplined person that I am today. You know, I know where to go, who to associate with, and who not to associate with, because you'd see maybe the people you grew up with in your environments, where are their lives now that they were able to go outside every day? That they didn't have no accountability.
That's true.
They had no one checking for them. They had no one caring about them. Though we may have seen it as boundaries, but maybe that's just how our parents knew how to care about us. Don't go outside so I could make sure nothing happens to you. Young black men, if you go outside, you know, it might not have been you who did anything,
Right.
but you're out of association, you're gonna get in trouble.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And me, I might not be able to express myself well if they take you to the police station.
Exactly.
So please stay home.
Because
I
can't go and speak English.
I can't express myself when I go there. So please stay home. Women,
goodness.
young girls being stolen, kidnapped,
Mm-hmm.
Raped and all that stuff. If you stay close to me, I could protect you.
Right.
But when you're out there, I can't.
Oh wow.
If
you stay close to me, I can protect you.
Yeah.
So young people, young ladies, young men, I think one of the major reasons why our parents tend to be a little bit overly protective is protection.
Yeah.
As mothers, as fathers, they just want to make sure you're okay or we're okay. But I think we are all on the same page when it comes to the fact that overprotection can also be destructive in some way. And I think that is where we have to know how we are protecting, but at the same time doing it in love and doing it with explanation, and also knowing when to release, when it's safe to release, so that when it's time for marriage and interactions out there, we are not lost as if POP mode, we can talk, we can interact, because that also doesn't make you happy. Like, you want us to, from nowhere become social butterflies, but you have to teach us to fly, so that when it's time for us to fly, we can fly on our own. Thank you so much. We want to move on to the next area, which is interracial marriages. Okay, so I know parents came from different countries, Senegal, Gambia, Nigeria, etc., where maybe, for example, if you're in Nigeria, all you know is like mostly Nigerians, even though they're non-Ghanaian, non-Nigerians, most of the people there are Nigerians. So the likelihood that if you're a lady, you marry a Nigerian is like what? 100% or 96%. Here we are in America, a melting pot, where we have Indians and Indian Americans and Indian Chinese and Chinese Indian Americans and African American and Ghanaian, Nigerian, Senegalese, like everything. Here we are, and how is it like? Like, I mean, I don't know, it doesn't have to be your experience, but how do parents react to interracial marriages? Like, they are there and you bring this handsome guy, and what's the first question you get?
What's his name?
Yeah.
That's what my dad was saying. What's his name?
Mm-hmm.
And from the name, he's going to be able to deduce a lot, right? And I mean, I would even take that question further when they're not asking for you to marry a Ghanaian only, but if you're Ashanti and they're looking for an Ashanti,
that's going too far.
And it's like, okay,
we're in America.
Chances are slim.
Chances are very slim.
And if I'm finding a Ghanaian, you should be excited. But if it's like, it's the Eastern region, Western region, I don't even know the regions. Okay, there are 60 regions now in Ghana, and I don't know them all. So which one, and there are some parents and uncles and aunties that take those things very seriously. Very seriously. The first question should be, is he a Christian?
Christian, exactly.
But that's not the question. It's, where is he from? What is his name? And I think that those issues, especially if your boyfriend's last name is Patel, it's like, okay, where did you get that Indian boy from, right? And most African parents, I would say majority, have some hesitation towards that. I know someone that married an African American, and that in itself was a big deal, right? The mom would cry over this and call friends and cry. I mean, now they're married and she's okay.
And they're happy.
She's okay. But before it was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Can you guys talk to this person for me so that like they can reconsider? There are very fine Ghanaian people around that. I'm like, well, he found someone.
Exactly. Who loves him or her.
Yeah, so I think ultimately that's what matters, but that's not the question.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Aniwa. Any other perspective?
I think Aniwa said the first question the parents should ask is, are they Christian?
Exactly.
I would say the first question the parents should ask is, how does he treat you? Because I feel like Christian, you raised me good enough to know that I'm going to go for a Christian. So the next step is, you could have a Christian, but they don't treat you well.
Exactly.
Because when you get married, it's going to be you and him.
Exactly.
Or him and the female. how do you treat each other?
Exactly.
That's the simplest thing. The next, okay, do they believe in God? How are their family like? How are their relationships with their parents? What happened? How are they with siblings? How are they with females? If you're a female, how do you see him interacting with other women like you? Like, we have to get back to the root of it. You know, I feel like where they're from, their ethnicity, their background, everyone's life situation makes them who they am. So look at the individual now in the present.
You know, then project.
Let who they are now speak volumes to you as a parent, because you want to make sure that whoever your child is with, they're leaving your home. You want to make sure they're okay in all things. You will pray. You know your daughter, your son will pray because you instilled that in them. You know, so allow your child to pick who they feel like is good for themselves, and know that your child, you instill them in God, that you know that they went to God in prayer before they introduced you. Because I wouldn't just introduce someone to my parent that I don't see a future with. That's me. Some people are very different. Some people, you know, they're very different.
Right.
Everybody.
So all things being equal, I mean, I think I'm Gladys mentioned some great points, but we are assuming that you're Christian and you know you're going for a Christian, because trust me, there's some Christian young ladies who may go for people from other religions. So that one becomes another topic altogether, you know. So that's not for today. But I think, as Abna said, Abna is Abna Gladys. So if you hear me say Abna or Gladys, it's the same person, But if you're bringing in a Christian and then assuming the person, you know, believes in God, Christian as Christian, like according to the Bible, then she ask how the person treats you. So I want us to just touch a little bit on it, the treatment part, and where parents, you know, want to tell you, like, marry an Ashanti guy or you know, a Ghana guy or wherever. If you marry an Ashanti guy or a Ghana person and the person maltreats you, you're better off going for another. You know, and I think that's one thing that we probably don't pay too much attention to. But as parents, we have to know that it's your child that is going to sit or dwell in that marriage. And whether it goes well or not, like, you come in to support, but you may leave. But that's not to say that parental supervision or parental support is not needed. But those restrictions and boxes, sometimes it's not necessarily the will of God. So I think as parents, we humbly appeal that let's work with our children to make sure that we don't put them in a box. When we are in America, and it's like, comb through your network of friends, find a Ghanaian man who has this job. He's a pharmacist, who is a, you know, and then besides that, who is from the Eastern region. That's difficult, you know. So parents, I know we won't do that, and even if we've done it in the past, right now we are even changing our minds. So thank you for that. Any other before we move on?
One interesting thing my dad actually advised me on with finding someone. He's like, find someone that you can get into an argument with. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? He said, how the result of the argument is how you know the person is for you. Because, you know, like, arguments can get rough. But it's the result of it, like, how do you guys come to an agreement? How do you guys make up after the argument? So as he explained that, I'm like, you know what? That's actually a really good idea. Not to say that I'm going to pick a fight, you know? But, like, actually, if we come to a disagreement, how, like, I'll study the person after the argument.
And then figure out.
It's really good advice.
Your dad is smart. Actually, I'll tell you, besides the God factor, that was one of the reasons why I married my husband. Because I was tired of people showering praises on me. Like, you're smart, you're this, you're that. But I knew my flaws. Like, I knew who I was, you know. So this guy would look me in the face and tell you, you're too strong. You're like, who do you think you are? Like, you know? But it was a check on me. It was me, like that. It was an area that I knew I had to work on. So I really, really liked that. So I knew he's somebody that I could grow with. So that's just a marriage tip for the ladies. But that's just by the way. This is not a marriage seminar.
I think Stephanie made a very good point. The father said it to her, right? Many people's parents don't talk to them about relationships. And that's something that I think is a gem that she has that.
Right.
Many people, they don't. They just expect you to marry.
Exactly.
Without any advice, without teaching you how to treat a man, without teaching you how to receive correction, because many girls really need to be taught told about themselves because they're not all that.
Exactly.
Right? But if your mom doesn't say it, once it comes from an outsider, you feel like, oh my God, they don't like me.
That's
they
true.
hate me. And maybe that's the boy that really wants the most for you.
That's true.
But because he's not telling you, oh, you're the most beautiful girl in the world, when I see you, my eyes go like,
rolling.
Roll all over the place. You're like, oh, he's not great.
That's true.
But like you gave a very good example. Because you saw that correction from your husband, you married him.
Exactly.
And your father is telling you
Exactly.
this. And I think that speaks volumes about relationships here and how our parents should really try to stop the controlling, but build a relationship where it's truly a parenting one, right? Not just friendship, not just a dictator, but a parent. Someone that could be a friend in the morning, a parent in the afternoon, an instructor in the night. You go through all spectrums because you are my parent and I should love you.
That's right.
The same way that God does with us.
A life coach for life.
A life coach.
That's amazing. Thank you. So why do you think parents tend to refuse interracial marriages? And I mean, we're taking that route to kind of let young people know that maybe they might be irrational, not because your parents want to upset you or make you sad or not to hang out with your sweetheart, whatever it is. Why do they do that?
I think one thing is that because we're here already, the culture is kind of like extracted out. So in order
when you say culture, what do you mean?
Like wherever you came from, once you're in America, there's some sort of dilution that happens.
Right.
So for you to just keep within the culture that you're in, you highly encourage, be with this person so that our culture can stay alive.
Right.
And I think with America, it's like everyone says, okay, yes, I'm this culture, that culture. But once you're here, it's like everything, we're all developing the American culture, which is like, as you said, a melted pot.
Right.
So it's like, I think with parents trying to keep us all intact with the same culture, it's for their own generations to still pass on in that aspect.
Oh, I like that. Like, they don't want any dilute. It's already diluted. So they don't want further dilution. Otherwise, it's going to be too legacy. It's going to be too light, right? They want to think.
I think it's
Thank you.
for everything to be simpler for you.
I like that.
Because that's how I think it's just for everything to be simpler. Like, the food, the language, you know how you would raise your kids.
The values.
The values would be intact. So there's no point of, okay, you go to a different culture, let's say an Asian culture. How Asians would interpret something, it's not
different.
The same way like a Caribbean would interpret
That's
something.
true.
So to keep it simpler, just be from the same culture. If you're even lucky, from the same tribe.
Let's just go.
Let's just keep it simple.
I also think that it comes from experience. Many of them might have dated someone from that culture, or they know of other people's stories.
That's
right?
true.
And they'll say, that's how you start to hear people say, oh, Fanti men are like this, dark men are like this, the Shanti men are like this, because they've seen a certain pattern from other friends, families, experiences, and they just don't want you to fall into that. Yeah, I think
That's
it's
true. Experience. That is very, very true. So, I mean, maybe we may have had certain experiences or we've seen other people experience certain things. It's not necessarily the case for everybody. So, yeah, we agree that sometimes interracial or intertribal marriages can be problematic, but maybe it's not necessarily because the people are coming from different backgrounds. It could even be something deeper. Exactly. So as parents, I mean, I know if you're a Ghanaian, you want your child to marry a Ghanaian because it's simpler. You don't have to go learn a whole culture altogether. Or if you're Nigerian, it's easier. But I think as Christians, we have to also know that maybe it may not necessarily be the plan of God that all Ghanaians should marry all Ghanaians or Nigerians should marry all Nigerians. So this is where we want parents to work with your children, not to impose, but I think ultimately to make sure that we are seeking the will of God and the face of God, not according to our own preferences, but what God has or wants for our children. I want us to look at the last aspect of, the last question. Do I even say a question? Perspective, and then we will wrap up. It's getting interesting, but time is up.
Yeah.
But I'm putting you in the hot seat, right? Now you're not these young, beautiful ladies, your parents.
Okay.
As parents, as we sit here, we are talking about, parents should have done this, they should do this, they should do that. Now you are one of them. How would you approach the issues of like marriage expectations, and we're talking from our heart in love to parents, from our perspective, not to teach them or tell them what to do, but from your world, how if they had done this or if they are doing this in this way, it's helping. So take it from any angle that you would want to.
If I was a parent,
You are.
Okay, I am. I'm a parent right now. So I would want my child to bring whoever they're speaking to at the time, whoever they're with, to the home, so then I could study the child. So if it's whether dinner, oh mom, I'm going to bring this person home, so I could study them myself, and I'll be able to give my child the feedback that they need to go about the relationship. Okay, I don't know if you've noticed this, but this person has a little too much pride.
Right.
How would you maneuver that? Or even, what's it called again? When I saw you guys squabbled a little bit in the kitchen.
Right.
How did you guys resolve it? Because I saw you guys were giving cold shoulder at the dinner table. Like, I would look at those little things and be a different eye for my child. And also have communication with the boy and ask the boy, what are his intentions? Where does he see his life going? Have a personal one-on-one communication with whoever it is. And
Awesome. Before I move on to Aniwa or Stephanie, I like that perspective. At what age would you allow your child to bring, like, maybe a girl to bring a boy, like 14, 18,
No.
19? So let's clarify that to calm the nerves of parents.
I'm telling me, I'm thinking like 22.
Okay, after college.
Yeah, because once you finish college, you should know yourself and you yourself, your identity.
Exactly.
I have taught you everything you could know in life. I see that you're responsible, you're mature, you're growing. So now I would think you would use that same mentality to find somebody according to your standards.
Exactly. So around that age, you were thinking of marriage. It's not like boyfriend, girlfriend, like having fun, just, without any plan ahead of you. So that is, you're thinking of marriage. Otherwise, if you bring home like a guy, like 19, 18, 17, maybe some parents will allow that, but a lot of African parents, immigrant parents probably might not, will kick you out. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if I am a parent, I will... It's very similar to what you said. Some of the things that I would do is when my husband does something or their dad does something for me, I will make sure they know that that's a good thing. Did you see what your dad just did? That's the kind of man you should be looking for. So even when they're 5 years old, I'm telling you this.
I like that.
So that you are starting to say, okay, I like men like my father. I picked well, so you better pick well.
That's right.
And so I'm sitting here like, okay, I'm not putting it in your face that go look for a boyfriend, go look for a girlfriend. But I'm just picking things out. I will also encourage my husband to do the same. When I do something nice, point that out. Make sure you appreciate that. When you have family time, make sure that you appreciate each other and let the kids know that this is what healthy relationships look like. And I mean, I think I might differ with you in a bit that I would even encourage high school friends to come over.
Right.
Maybe not boyfriend, girlfriend, but
friends.
if you have friends,
I like that.
church friends, bring them on Saturdays.
Right.
I want to see that. You guys having whatever, even if it's like Instagram that you're on, I just want to be around. So that when they go, I'll just pick up on certain things and just, correct you on those. And as you're in college, I'm asking you, so who is that fine boy? Because there's someone you're looking at.
Exactly.
I mean, let's be
real. Exactly.
So who is that dude? And I'll make sure that I'm hip enough.
Exactly.
That you don't feel like, it's like trying to boost it. So I'll be hip. I'm coming in there looking fly. Your classmates would me and tell me stuff. I'll be friends with your best friend.
Let's talk.
She'll tell me. Your guy friends will tell me. And then we'll hook things up that way. I think, but it's a big cultural difference between our parents and who we are now. So I hope that we can do better and use some of these tips. So.
I mean, that's so true. I mean, whether we like it or not, at any point in time, our children would be thinking of the opposite sex. Like, not in a bad way necessarily, but they will be thinking about them. So we have to engage them. Yeah. And maybe not necessarily like thinking about them in terms of sex or marriage, but I mean, relationships. So bring the guys in, bring the ladies home, cook for them. As they are interacting and all that, you'll be eyeing some of them. I think this guy will be fine guy for my daughter in the future. So by the time your child brings the guy home, you kind of know the circle of friends and nothing really shocks you. Stephanie, you want to find out? You have to find out.
I'm actually going to take advice my parents did, because they think that us teenagers were not serious. So my dad will say, when you're serious, bring him over. If this is a serious relationship, bring him over. I don't want to see anymore. As far as friends, my parents always welcome my friends.
That's good.
But if it's somebody like, okay, this is the person you're talking to, then only when you are serious, then you bring him over.
Right.
I don't want to have some animosity toward him. If everything is over,
exactly,
and you're over the person.
That's true.
So also, I would hope to think that growing up, just as Anila said, like as my children grow up, I'll have that relationship with them that I'll actually want to be like, hey, what's going on in your life? Or hey, let's have that relationship where you're open enough to tell me what's going on, because I wouldn't want these kind of things, especially important things in your life, to be hidden from you.
That's true. That's very true. Interesting. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All too soon, our time is up. And thank you so much, Gladys and Niwa and Stephanie, for your wonderful thoughts. And for anyone that joined in today with us, thank you so much for your attention. And I hope that you were blessed. We will catch you once again on another episode of Battleground.